These symbols I have written on the board remind us of the abstract nature of mathematics. We communicate mathematics through symbols, which are really efficient in communication, but it's not easy to understand fully their meanings. For example, this symbol for number 5 can be for a little child as arbitrary as this formula for calculating the combinations of natural numbers for a student in lower secondary school. To construct meaning for these symbols in mathematics, it is not that we are wanting to remove the abstract nature from mathematics, no, by no means, but we need to build meanings for the symbols and abstract notions in mathematics. And for that we may need some other representations. When little children study mathematics, the following representations are very important. Activity representation, pictorial representation, verbal representation, and symbolic representation. Let me give you an example of these representations of number 3. Activity representation of number 3 would be when a child puts 3 blocks on a plate. Pictorial representation of number 3. Picture of 3 apples. Verbal representation is the number word 3. And symbolic representation, symbol of number 3. I have seen that some preschool teachers focus merely on the symbolic and verbal representations of numbers. They teach and practice with children a lot of exercises where they show the number. Which number is this? This is number 4. Which number is this? This is number 3. Which number is this? This is number 2. Please come and write on the blackboard, on the whiteboard, number 5. And so on. But this activity can be performed right on the basis of stimulus-response learning. You don't need to understand anything about numbers, and though you can produce the right word or the right symbol. In that kind of teaching, the movement, if we think in terms of representations, the movement is here between verbal and symbolic representations. But a child, to understand the number concept, she and he has to be able to work with the other representations too. It can be said that a child has a rich number concept if she or he can move fluently from any representation here to any other representation. Let me give you a few examples. When I was a child, we loved a game when we were outside and we were in the forest, and the teacher said, for example, that who is the first to bring me 5 stones? And then children ran immediately to the surroundings and searched for stones and picked them and then carried them to the teacher. How is this game conceptualized with this model? The child heard the number word 5 stones. So the input was the verbal representation, and then the child picked 5 stones. That was the activity representation. So the child had to move from verbal representation to the activity representation. Another example would be that there are plates with number symbols, and the child has to put the right number of blocks to each plate. Your task is to put the right number of little bears on each plate. In that activity, the child first saw the number symbol, and she had to put the right number of blocks according to that number symbol. So she had to produce the activity representation. So the movement in that activity was the symbol from the symbolic representation to the activity representation. Let me tell you a third example. It is a little bit funny. I live in the northern part of Finland, and in summer we have a lot of mosquitoes. They are not dangerous, but they are quite a nuisance. And you can ask a child, for example, to kill few mosquitoes if there are some in the room. Let's see how many I can get. Okay, and now your task is to draw those killed mosquitoes. I think I killed 4 mosquitoes and smashed them very, very well. One, 2, 3, 4 dead mosquitoes. So what I did the activity representation for number 4, and I drew a pictorial representation of number 4. And now I have a task for you. In the resource booklet on pages 18 and 19, there are activities for teaching numbers 1 to 9. Draw yourself this model without the arrows and study carefully each activity. First activity is listen how many objects fall or how many times I clap, and show with the number card the right number. So your task is to draw the corresponding arrow in this model. Do this for all the activities, at least 1 to 8. This manipulative is a brilliant invention. I love it. It consists of matchboxes which are covered with paper, and on top of the label the number symbol is written. I take one box. If you open the box, you can see that on the bottom there are 3 dots. The task of the child is to put the right number of markers to that box. Okay, the number is 3 and there are 1, 2, 3 dots. So I put 1, 2, 3 markers in the box, and my task is then to close the box and tell the right number word 3. See, here were present all the representations. The activity in that the child puts the right number of markers in the box. There was the pictorial representation. When the child closes the box, she says 3, which is the number word, and she sees the number symbol 3. And furthermore, the child can fill all these matchboxes and finally put them order them in an increasing number to make the counting sequence. I love it, and imagine how expensive this is.